What's up, guys? It's Cruz and T here to talk about the season finale of Walking Dead. We realize we're a couple days late, but that's because we've been super busy making other awesome content for you guys coming soon. And also, this way we can do it with as many spoilers as we want.
Yeah, if you haven't seen it by this point, you click on this video.
F you, I'll say it again. So we had an actual season finale, not one of the mid-season finales that you guys know just make me hot. I hate you, AMC. But I love Walking Dead right now because this half season or whatever and the season finale, really good.
Yeah.
The show's good again.
Yeah, this half season just like really picked it up. I think it's interesting because I think Alexandria and this area, like the suburban life situation, is a big shift for the show. And it needed it because we've spent 5 years wandering around Georgia. It needed something radical to shift.
And I also think it's cool because we have briefly seen our group be able to kind of settle down for short periods of time, you know, with the prison and even on Herschel's farm back in season 2. But it's always been sort of a relatively comfortable situation. This is one where they're sort of being inserted into an environment where they're not necessarily in control. And it's been a lot of like really interesting dynamics that have arisen from that.
Every time they have encountered other people, it's been extremely hostile.
Right.
And so the tension created by trying to make a relationship work with other people who are also trying to be good, but in a completely different way.
Right.
That's really interesting.
And also just never knowing when and if you can let your guard down, because even if people do seem to have good intentions, and even after days and weeks go by, it's just like, no, I think these people are on the up and up. There are still issues of like, can I really relax? Can I really let my guard down? And the answer is no.
I love how gray a lot of the decisions are and like the morality of it is, because it's like, should Rick stop what was his name? Abusive husband guy.
Yeah.
Like, should Rick...
We'll just call him Chris Brown.
Yeah. Should Rick stop Chris Brown from beating his wife and possibly eventually killing her? Fuck yes. Is Rick kind of doing it because he wants to bang the dude's wife?
Clearly.
Also yes.
And Rick has clearly just lost the plot. I think Rick is at a new level of crazy even for him. But it's interesting because he still seems to just have the best intentions, at least for his own people, at heart. It's just that his methods and mode of thinking are not necessarily the things that will behoove his own team.
And that's why I think the very end, with what happens between him and Chris Brown and the return of Morgan, is so powerful. Here's Morgan, who already went through his like crazy ass motherfucker shit.
Yeah.
Something has happened to him that I'm really excited about finding out, that's turned him into like Zen Master Yoda. Right. Both martial arts wise and spiritually. And so he's been looking for Rick because Rick is the only thing he has left in the world that he knows, someone who he's connected to. And Rick was the one that sort of lectured him on not letting the world change him and turn him into a monster.
Rick is Morgan's Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
Just like our team had that one thing that kept them going, Morgan's quest to find Rick and sort of get back to a time in his life where he was like in control and felt pretty good, you know, despite what was going on. Like that's what he's trying to get back to. And I think it's been really interesting to see the complete shift where like now Rick is bat crazy and Morgan's the like, as you said, Zen master ninja guy.
I also loved that the wolves have discovered the secret to corralling zombies, and it's throw a rave. Yeah. Why has nobody else
love dubstep?
Why doesn't everybody else just throw truck raves? It would solve all the problems.
Yeah.
That was an incredibly shocking moment. Like when I did not expect those zombies to be like that booby trap to exist. And and I felt so bad for Red Poncho guy.
I was like very distraught when I saw Red Poncho guy being led to the fence. Then they of course slit his throat. That was just like, no, not Poncho. Like he was just this little Red Riding Hood character out there surviving on his own. It was just, I don't know how they managed to make you care about a character who isn't a real character, but they really did.
Let's talk, two of the most gruesome deaths the show has ever had.
Definitely the worst I've ever seen on the show.
You know what? I think it was effective not only because of how gory they were, but because for the first time on the show, I felt sort of the reality of a zombie apocalypse, of like watching these things literally tear your flesh open.
Right. And then poor Glenn had like a front row seat there, trapped in the revolving door. So that was definitely a new benchmark for Nick Otero and the rest of the Walking Dead, you know, special effects guys.
Speaking of Glenn, the show ended with 3 characters with a gun to someone's head.
Yeah.
It ended with Glenn trying to kill motherfucking asshole suburban guy, Sasha with her gun at Father Gabriel's head, and then
Rick with a zombie on top of him.
Yeah, well, oh yeah, that thing. But then Rick with the gun at Chris Brown's head. Only Rick pulled the trigger.
Right.
You know? I think Glenn should have killed that motherfucker, but that's just me.
Yeah. One thing that I really think they managed to do successfully throughout the season finale was maintain a feeling of tension from start to end. I literally actually entered this episode with a bit of dread because I had forgotten it was 90 minutes first of all, so it's just like, oh my God, I'm going to be like clenching my butthole for the next 90 minutes. Yeah. And it was true.
Can we talk about how Carol is now the best character on this show?
Carol is by far the most interesting character, and I mean, I'm blown away by what they've done with her. She's so fascinating, and I'm like, even though she's done a few things that I didn't really agree with or that I thought were maybe missteps and poor calculation on her part, I think that she's just like such a badass and so smart. It's actually scary.
I remember from the beginning, I was like, oh, this Melissa McBride is a really good actress, but this season I was like, holy fucking shit, Melissa, she's amazing. Like, she goes from this like suburban house mom to fucking Rambo to like that subtle scene where she had the knife to his head.
Even just the way she took her knife out was just so like, oh, I've got my little knife here. I'm gonna fucking kill you. And it'll also be interesting to see how this, you know, disparity between Michonne's approach to staying in Alexandria and Rick's, you know, creates friction, because obviously they both want to stay there, but Rick's whole approach is, we're going to take the whole thing. And then Michonne is like, can we like try to work this out, please? Like, she's trying to be a lot more reasonable. But at the end, we did see her reholster her sword instead of putting it back on the wall. And she realized, you know what? Maybe this place is not exactly what it looked like. Rick is verging on the mode of thinking that a villain would have, and that is not gonna work.
He's ranging on governor territory.
Exactly.
I mean, when he said, and it's a great, it was like one of those, like, this is not a democracy speech was such a great speech, and this one was, I think, just as good. Yeah. But like when he said, how many of you do I have to kill to make this work?
So I can save you.
Right? Like, that's governor shit right there.
I laughed out loud at that because it was just like the craziest sentence anyone has ever said.
So overall, just really excited for season 6 at this point. I think Scott and Gimple is finally the show found the person, I think, that like needs to be in control of it.
I have been a fan of this show for a long time now, and it's definitely been one of those situations where I was hate watching it for long stretches because it was just the most frustrating show in my arsenal of things that I watched. But now I'm completely back on board. Loved this half season and loved this season finale.
And I'm weirdly curious about Fear the Walking Dead for the summer. It was a whole like 10-second teaser, right, where nothing happened. But Fear the Walking Dead is the LA spin-off of The Walking Dead. Terrible title. The teaser actually got me really excited, even though there's nothing in it, because it looks to be that the show is going to cover a period of time has never been covered on the show and has never been covered in the comics, which is while Rick was in a coma. How the fuck did this outbreak happen? Like, what the fuck happened? I think every fan of The Walking Dead for the last however many years, like 5, 6, 7, 8 years that this comic has been going, every single fan has been like, but where the fuck did the zombies come from?
Yeah.
Even if they don't particularly answer that question, because I like that there's no answer to that question, that they explore that time period. That gets me really excited.
All right, so that's what we thought of the season finale of Walking Dead. Clearly, we both liked it. Let us know in the comments if you guys liked it too, or if for some reason you thought it sucked, which would be kind of strange because it's pretty good. So make sure you subscribe to CineFix for more Walking Dead recaps when the new season starts, and for lots of other content. And sorry again for this being a little bit late, but you've been busy.
I'm so busy. Ooh, Better Call Saul's ending soon.
Yeah, one more next week.